Today, I am restyling some of the bookshelves in my home to celebrate the fall seasons. I thought it would be fun to give you guys a little peek inside my styling process. When it comes to designing the bookshelves in your home, I am a huge believer that less is more. I think your shelves should reflect your own sense of style. It's really not about design trends or design rules. You should love every single thing on them. These days, when I'm designing areas of my home, I'm really looking for ways to surround myself with things that evoke an emotion, that really make me feel something. And so that's the approach that I'm gonna take into our little styling session today. But before we dive in, I want to talk about the word minimalism. As you guys know, I love my minimalist spaces. I use a pretty neutral color palette throughout my entire house, and I really just like wide open spaces that just give me a lot of breathing room on a day-to-day basis. But sometimes I think that minimalism gets kind of a bad rap for being cold or too spare or lacking in character. And I don't think it has to be this way. My design approach is really based on what I like to call warm minimalism. And that's where I use a ton of textures and materiality to make my spaces feel super cozy, even within that neutral color palette. I've found that when I use less stuff in my decorating, I actually find more joy in the things that I do have. Rather than fill my bookshelves with tons of clutter and keep adding things, I'm gonna take a little bit of that minimalist approach so that the things that I love can really take center stage. Before we start styling, I just wanna give a big thanks to today's sponsor, Target. Every single thing that I'm gonna be decorating my shelves with is actually from Target's new collection, and it is just proof, once again, that making a beautiful home does not need to be super expensive or complicated. Your bookshelves are the perfect place to transition your home with the seasons by just swapping out a few things to really change up the look and feel. You can make them feel lighter and brighter in the springtime or darker and moodier in the fall. Today, since it is September, I am gonna be restyling my shelves for the fall to give my living room a fresh look. I'm gonna be using some of those darker, moodier tones, and we just wanna make everything feel super cozy. So once I have everything laid out on the table or on the floor, I love to just kind of play. And I will mix and match different items, try to create pairings that I like together. So I'll see if I like this vase paired with this basket, and just look at the color combinations. And that way, when I start putting things back on the shelves, I have a little bit of a plan. Then I'm gonna move things around to get a visual sense of what items pair well together and which things might go together when I add them back to the shelves. Once I've got my favorite groupings together, I start adding them to the shelves and just experimenting. The key here is to move, arrange, shift things around, and just play with the pieces until you feel good about the arrangement. Remember, there are no rules, just tap into your gut instinct and let your heart lead the way. So we've got version 1 of our shelves. It's looking okay. Like, I like certain elements of it, but I know it's not perfect. And one thing that I do when I'm feeling kind of stuck or I'm not quite sure what's off is I'll actually take a photo of the shelves. Then I will stand back, look at the shelves on my screen, and for some reason it just gives me a better perspective so I can really see what looks off and what I need to move around to make it right. Okay, so one thing that I want to do now is really play with the height and the symmetry that's on the shelves. Like, one thing that I'm not loving is how I have this vertical column of books here, and then I have another vertical column of books here. So to break it up, I'm going to take these books and I'm gonna actually lay them flat in a stack. And I actually think I'm gonna move them over here so that it's not too symmetrical on both sides. I like having a horizontal line with a vertical line above it. And actually I'm just gonna take this bowl and set it on top of these books to give that a little bit of height. And I think we'll be in good shape. When I'm adding art to bookshelves, which I love to do, I always like to kind of stagger it a little bit so that it's partially behind something and partially not. So I also don't want this to be right in the center, so I'm just gonna cheat it to the right a little bit so that there's, again, a little bit of asymmetry. And then I'm feeling like there's too much going on with branches in both places. So I think this is a time when I just need to remove some things. So these are gonna go. And then I also think that I have too many small objects up here with this line of 3 items, and I need to streamline that just a bit. So I'm going to pull this little bowl away. I love it though, so we're gonna find another home for it. Yes, bookshelves hold books, but they're also such a great place for adding beautiful decor pieces and really expressing your own sense of style. One thing that I love to do is to just kind of wander around my house looking for interesting objects that I might want to add into the mix. So I might find a beautiful bowl in my kitchen or an art piece in the bedroom, and I can kind of pull all those together and play with how they might look on the shelves. I like to call it shopping my own home. I found this vase and these dried flower combinations at Target. It's my favorite place to go when I just want to easily stock up on some fresh pieces to refresh my bookshelves for the fall. On at least a couple of my shelves, I'm going to use one larger statement object that will draw the eye to it. This will anchor the entire scene and give the eye something to hold on to. Get creative and don't be afraid to add items to your shelves just because you love them. So we all instinctively respond to the beauty of nature. The sound of the ocean or a rushing river has been proven to actually change our brainwaves frequency, and it puts us in a more meditative state. So I'm always looking for ways to bring the outside into my home and recreate some of those relaxing vibes in my space. I usually stick to an earthy color palette, and I incorporate as many natural materials as possible. I'll use terracotta ceramics, woven baskets, and natural wood furniture to create a beautifully textured effect. Embracing the fact that our homes are constantly evolving and never really done relieves the pressure to make everything perfect from day one. I would so much rather spend time looking for that perfect vase or that piece of art that really speaks to my soul, even if it means leaving a little breathing room on a shelf for a while. Remember, it's not about impressing anyone. It's about really embracing our authentic selves through the way that we design our homes and letting them evolve right along with us. All right, and my shelves are done, at least until I redecorate again. I'd love to hear what you guys think of these styling tutorials. If you enjoyed this episode, drop a comment, let me know what you think, and subscribe. Thanks so much. I'll see you guys next time.